Well, hi, and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. This week I'm going to carry on my look through some of the stories about Jesus written down for us by a guy called Luke in the Bible. Last week we heard about Jesus as a baby. The next thing that Luke wrote about was Jesus as a 12-year-old boy. Now, I know time flies, but that was quick. So anyway, this story happens when a huge festival was on. It's called Passover, a very ancient Jewish festival that still is celebrated today. It was Mary and Joseph's habit to go to Jerusalem for the festival every year, and they went with Jesus as part of a big group of friends and relatives. This year was no exception. After the festival, though, had finished, they began to make their way home again, back to Nazareth. It's about 65 miles, so quite a few days' journey. After travelling for a day, Mary and Joseph hadn't seen Jesus around, but they'd assumed he was somewhere in this big group of people. So they went looking for him, but they didn't find him. It quickly became apparent to them that he wasn't there. They'd left him behind in Jerusalem. So, like any good parents, Mary and Joseph left the group and they hurried back to Jerusalem. And for 3 days, they searched and searched that city, looking, trying to find Jesus. And then they went back to the temple. And there they found him. He'd been there all that time, for the best part of a week, talking to the teachers and the important people there, asking them questions and amazing them at what he knew, even as a 12-year-old boy, of the scriptures of God and things like that. Of course, by this time, I'm sure you can imagine that Mary and Joseph were worried sick, and they wanted to know why he'd stayed there. He went home with them, but he told them, when they asked, that being in God's temple was the most natural place for him to be. It was a message they didn't understand, but it was something that Mary would continue to think about for a long time. But I think as they went home, I suspect Mary and Joseph kept a very close eye on where he was. I wonder, where would you go looking for Jesus? Some people might go to a church building. Some might Google for him. Some might see what it says in the Bible. Some might ask friends who they know believe in Jesus. Where would you look? Do you know, sometimes even as Christians, we can find ourselves wondering where Jesus is, particularly when things get difficult. When you're in the middle of everything seeming to go wrong, sometimes it can be hard to see where Jesus is, even for Christians. But I've always found that amazingly you can look back later and you can usually see where Jesus was. Maybe he was sending people there to help and support you, or other ways providing things for you right in the middle of where things are difficult. Maybe you're asking the same question. Where is Jesus? Or maybe even who is this Jesus guy that you're talking about? Really happy if you want to get in touch and explore those questions further. Just email or message me. If you'd find it helpful to get hold of a copy of the Bible so you could read some of these stories for yourself, do let us know. If you're local to us, we'll drop a free copy round to you if you haven't got one. Something else that just might be helpful, might be worth looking at. There's a poem called Footprints in the Sand. You may know it, you may not. If you don't, have a Google for it. Footprints in the Sand. It's a poem about seeing Jesus in the hard times. Maybe next time you're finding things tough, it might help you to find Jesus. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.